Hi there, I'm John Waterhouse, and welcome to The Original Science of Mind as taught by Dr. Barbara Waterhouse. This is a great class. Barbara is at her best, and she is ready for you. And going through this class, you're going to have a great time remembering the truth about you and using the principles of science of mind as Ernest Holmes articulated them way back in the 1920s. So enjoy the class, and we're going to start, as we always do, with a spiritual mind treatment, and then I'll see you afterwards. So join me in knowing the truth, that there is a presence and a power that dwells in, through, and as everything that is. And it is greater than that. It is greater than all of creation. Yet it dwells everywhere and always, within us and all around us. And that presence that is within us is the totality of the divine experience, the totality of the divine presence, because God is complete and total everywhere and always. So as we come together for this teaching from this master teacher, Barbara Waterhouse, I know that truth is revealed, that our eyes are opened, our heart is opened, and our mind receives this good information that we can apply to our lives right here and right now. That this work is essential to our spiritual growth and direction, and that all is well as we do this. And I'm grateful for everyone who joins in this experience, for Barbara's brilliance, and for all the good that comes from this as life continues to unfold. So I let that be the truth within me, all around me, and all who can have it. And knowing that it's so, I simply let it be right here, right now, and always. And so it is. Have a great class. I'll see you afterwards.
Looking at the intricacies of the teaching symbol. The teaching symbol on the level of the absolute. So, we have this idea that says that the idea up here, the idea in spirit, the original idea, before we get to messing with it, needing another thought. The original idea in spirit is perfect. Do you see that? That when God thinks a thought, when spirit thinks a thought, it's got to be a perfect thought. It can't be a limited thought. It can't be a fear-based thought. It can't be something that is imperfect, because that would be against the nature of spirit, which is perfect. And John will caution us, don't use that word, because people immediately go into, well, perfect for me means that the sky is clear and there is no rain and all is well and life looks exactly like the little box that I want it to fit in. That's not the perfect I'm talking about. Perfect on an absolute level means that it's whole. It has everything because it's infinite. Remember, it can't have something outside of the infinite, can't be missing a piece, can't be broken. It's whole, it's complete. Perfect, whole, and complete. So when we have an idea of a spirit thought, a divine idea in the mind of God, when we started this center, that was our phrase. When we sent out our very first little flyer to see if anybody wanted to come to our living room to talk about starting a spiritual center in Asheville, we said, this is a divine idea in the mind of God whose time has come. A divine idea in the mind of God whose time has come. Do you see how that is the creative process? But when you look at the circle on an absolute level, everything is great. Everything is perfect. Everything is health. Everything is wholeness. Everything is balance. Everything is abundant. Everything is great. Because you cannot limit that absolute experience of the absolute. It must be true to its nature. The absolute cannot have an imperfect idea. Who can have an imperfect idea? can. And so can we all. And our job, if we find ourselves with an idea that is less than Spirit in all of its wonder and glory, our job is to have another idea. And what Ernest says is to reveal the false idea and to move into an embracing of the perfect idea that is God. Okay, so what we want to do, if we have anything that has limitation in it, if we have any sense that anything is wrong, that anything is broken, that anything is lacking, that anything needs to be fixed, and usually it's us, we think that we're broken, we're lacking, we need to be fixed. Is that possible? How can we be created out of the perfect idea of Spirit and have anything that is less than perfection? How is that possible? It is not possible. The essence of us, our true nature, is divine. And so if we are seeing ourselves, or if we are seeing our experience as anything less than that perfect idea, that ideal of Spirit, then it is our job to move back into an awareness of the perfection of Spirit as me, as my life, as my body, as my finances, as my friend, as my friends, as my car, as my job, as my home, as my dog. That's my job, to move back into alignment with the spiritual truth that is up here. Because if I can embrace a perfect idea, it will automatically go into the mind of God and it will show up. If I am experiencing something less than perfection in any way, shape, or form, it's because I have misunderstood who I am, what my experiences are, what life is, what God is. Maybe I go back to this idea of a guy on a cloud who doesn't like me. Maybe something like that. What, Jane?
Well, how do you know, if you have an idea, how do you know whether it's the perfect idea?
What have you got in your life? Do you have anything in your life that's limiting? Anything that's fear-based?
Well, sure, everything.
No, not everything. Don't do that. No, not everything.
Okay.
You have a lot of wonderful thoughts. Some of your thoughts are still limited. Welcome to the human race.
But how can I tell which are the limited ones and which are,
What is limited in your life?
you mean look around me and
Yes.
the outside world?
Yes, yes. And if you have limitation in your bank account, if you have limitation in your physical body, if you have limitation in your emotional state, if you have limitation in your friends, whatever that is, go back into the divine idea of Spirit itself, which would be, if you're looking at your friends and going, whoa, what a bunch of dummies. What do you need to do? You can change your friends and you will take yourself with you, and then what will you create? More of the same. So rather than, you can go through that if you want, but eventually, what are you going to want to do? Change your thoughts about what? Your friends. You know, and if you want a little quick psychology lesson, the only reason you would be critical of your friends is if you had first a disowned self inside of yourself, some part of you that thought you were less than wise and intelligent, and so you suppress that, and rather than acknowledge it and work it out and do your forgiveness work and release and all of that, you suppress it, and then because there's only one, it's got to show up somewhere in your life, so naturally, psychologically, you project it onto someone else, and anyone calling anyone else something, you know who it is that they're calling that. So you can never call anyone else something without calling yourself that. And it comes from that idea inside of ourselves. That's why I said that the place where we are usually looking at that which is broken or lacking or imperfect is us. So rather than look at your friends that way, you put your you know, I see the world through God eyes hat on and start looking at them as these beautiful God beings, perfect in every way. And watch how then they change into new friends, or they change into these new beings that you're experiencing. What do you do if you are acting out limitation in your physical body? Which would be what?
Well, you just take a look at what you think is wrong, and you know that it's right.
Excellent. So if you're acting out something with your physical body, then you look at that, and instead of holding on to an imperfect idea, you move into this idea that says the entire universe is based on a concept of health and wholeness and growth and expansion, of balance and harmony. And so that has to be true for my physical body. It has to be true for me because I am created out of the unformed substance that has formed everything. There is an inherent health and wholeness in all life and beyond. I don't know about beyond, because once I get past this universe, I'm done. But here and beyond, there's a health and a wholeness, and if we're not seeing it, and our bodies are reacting to our lack of sight, it's not our body's fault. We didn't get a bad body. We took a perfectly good body, and we thought thoughts that said, you're not good enough. And it said, okay, I'm not good enough, oh, no. So what we do is we embrace that divine idea, that perfect idea, and it goes into the fertile soil of mind and shows up. There's even a book called Mind Over Medicine that's written by a doctor that is fascinating. That is all of these studies, a number of which have been done by University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill, about just plain old happiness heals. You don't even have to have a particular thought. But what is this divine, perfect idea other than happy, other than joy-filled? And what they're finding out in the physical body, and I think it's a little kickoff on Bruce Lipton, that either a cell is growing or it's defending itself. It's only got two choices. That every cell in your body at any given second is either taking in nourishment, repairing itself. That's why you eat protein, is so that it can rebuild the protein molecules. You do not need complete proteins. You only need a little piece of protein here and a piece of protein there. So it's rebuilding proteins, it's rebuilding the cell, it's growing, it's expanding, it's separating, it's doing all of its little cell things, or it's on lockdown and it's protecting itself. And if you keep your cells on lockdown long enough, that will manifest as disease. That energy comes into form through your physical body as disease. And if you just lighten up a little bit, come to the Center for Spiritualism for the Sunday Celebration, and let it all go, and just lighten up, and imagine the possibility that everything could be okay. Your body has spent all this time repairing itself and growing and fixing whatever needed fixing inside of it because you came into alignment with the divine idea. Isn't that amazing? And all you did was have a good time. But if you stress out all day, every day, sooner or later, those cells are going to give up. And people get sick. And so medicine, allopathic medical doctors are starting to get this. It's fascinating. Just fascinating. So what we want to do is come into alignment with the perfect idea. You can do it with music. You can do it with reading. You can do it by coming here. You can do it by going to the movies. You can do it by getting a sense that who you are is perfect, whole, and complete, that you are a spiritual being because you are made out of spirit. You are a divine idea in the mind of God whose time has come. That is you. And your job is to bring yourself into alignment with that God vision to see yourself as God sees you. How can God see anything that is against its nature? But we have free will. We can screw up all we want. And people say, well, why do we have free will? Wouldn't it just be better to be these eternal, joy-filled beings? Then you would not have expansion. And remember, in order for an infinite to exist, it must be continually expanding. You cannot say, you must live your life happy. As attractive as that seems, it would stop the evolution that spirit is, the growth and the expansion, and spirit has to be growing and expanding or there would be an end to the infiniteness. And we can't have that, or none of this is here. So, yes, we have free will. Yes, we are beings of choice. And our choice, now that we are aware beings, is to bring ourselves back into alignment with that perfect idea that we are. What do we do when we experience limitation in our finances? Forgive is a good idea, whoever said that, yes. And what else do we focus on? We stop focusing on limitation and victimization, and we begin to focus on what? Abundance. That's one reason I love to go to the ocean. It is so big. It is so big. It is so big. It reminds me of big. The sunrises remind me of big. So I go there and I get big, that part of me that's bigger than I can grasp, that bigness that I am. I get that. And what that translates into is opportunity, time, money, experiences. I experience prosperity in my life. And if I am not experiencing prosperity, I'm looking at constriction. I'm looking at smallness. Smallness being, that person did me wrong, this will never happen, all of those limited, imperfect ideas. I have to let go of them and move back into that divine, perfect idea. Does that make sense? It's really important because no matter what you choose, law cannot stop you from either achieving your dreams or screwing up your life. It can't stop you. It says, your wish is my command. Whatever it is you want, you will have. And any time you want to change it, you can change it. You don't have to read a book, go to a workshop, pay somebody something, go buy something. You can change it just like that. How? By thinking another thought, by changing your thought. Juan?
Can you do neither, screw up your life or make it better?
If you are in a state of nirvana, I think you could stay there. But even that's got to be great.
Yeah.
It's got to be great. And what are you doing? You're simply focusing on the presence of the divine. And I think that if I were to talk to those monks, they would say, it's just better and better and better. And it's just joy and laughter. What I love about the monks is they're always laughing. They're always just in their joy. It's wonderful. That's what we're supposed to be doing when we let go of everything else and move back into alignment with that perfect idea that we are. It's all joy. And that's why if you just go straight to joy, your body will heal, your money will show up, your relationships will get much better very quickly, and things will just work out. And if they don't work out the way you thought they would, it doesn't matter. You're happy and they're going to work out anyway. Just be in your joy. Come back into alignment. See yourself as God sees you. And how can God see you as anything other than itself? Whatever God is, whatever the will of God is, it must be in alignment with its own nature. Has anybody ever heard of the will of God? Well, we translated in Science of Mind to, well, it just must not be time yet. I must need to do some more work. I guess I'm going to have to clean some more stuff up. No, everything is already here right now. And what can the will of God be other than the nature of God? So, what is the nature of God? What?
Love.
Love. What else?
Happiness. Joy.
Slow down.
Power. Beauty.
I'm not spelling phonetically. B-E-A-U-T-Y. How about balance, health, wholeness, completeness? What? Wisdom, all of that. So, the only thing that the will of God can be for you is love, happiness, joy, peace, power, prosperity, beauty, wisdom, health, balance, wholeness.
Positive outcomes.
Well, every outcome is positive.
Oh,
It's your judgment that says it's negative. Every outcome is the perfect outcome of what you planted. So let's not put a value call in there of positive.
Oh, okay.
So, if you ever think, well, maybe I'm not supposed to, maybe Spirit, God, whatever, doesn't want me to, maybe there is an outside will that determines my life and that maybe I'm only in control part of the time. No. The only thing that can be the will of God for you has got to be health, happiness, wholeness, joy, beauty, love, all of that. That is the only thing. And since it is the will of God for you, you might as well use it. Well, God's will is that I am happy. Forget all these conditions. God's will is that I am healthy. I don't care what the doctor says. God's will is that I am wealthy, that I am rich, that I am prosperous and abundant. I don't care what my bank statement says. I have God's will on my side, and God is bigger than my bank statement. God is bigger than the diagnosis. God is bigger than what those other people said about me. I have that. The only thing that whatever spirit is can intention within itself is that which it already is. Spirit can only become that which it creates. There's nothing else to create out of. Spirit must become that which it creates, so the nature of the divine must be that which it has created. It can't be anything else. Yes, Valerie?
But is it possible then that Allah is our perception of the idea that brings it into the form?
No. Our perception of the idea, and you're going to get into this later, I think it may be the next lesson, is the circle of the relative, which would be our conscious mind. Our thought. And then you've got law, and then you have our experience. And this is the only one that we have free will to limit it. This is unlimited. Because this is the absolute. This is the relative. I think in the book he calls this the universal and this the individual. So it is in this aspect. And it's all one. You know, really down here, you, me, everybody else. But within our own experience, we have the ability to judge something, and in judging it, we limit it. And then law just takes it, and boom, that's in our experience. I learned this so well with my first husband. I judged him. And after we were divorced, he turned into the nicest guy with his next wife. And I remember I was over picking my son up once, and he lived like 4 hours away, so I was spending the night, and saw them interact and thought, where was he when I was married to him? And as I learned about how life works, I got it. He could have been right there, but the problem was I was there, and I was in the way. It was my limiting thoughts about him that created my experience of him as being less than limiting. However, you know, you have all things in perfect order. If I had seen him with my God eyes, chances are I never would have ended up with John. So it's all part of the process. But I got that so clearly. It's like, oh, I did that. He was always available. It was like he was a packet of possibility. Pure potential in form, waiting for me to focus on what was right with him instead of what was wrong with him. And if I had focused on what was right with him, that would have collapsed into form. That would have shown up. But instead, I focused on what was wrong with him because I was so absorbed with what was wrong with me, and I was trying to hide it, and so I shoved it down. God forbid anybody should see a flaw, and because there's only one, I projected it out onto him and looked at it on him, and rather than seeing that as an opportunity to heal, because I just had no clue what I would be talking about today back then, rather than seeing that as an opportunity to heal, I just blamed him. And so that's what I got. I did that. But that doesn't mean that we were out of spirit, because spirit is all that there is. And if I had been able to see that, it would have been totally different. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But in our own individual creative process, we have the ability to limit the divine idea and experience the effects of that cause. And what we want to do is come back into seeing perfection, rising up, setting the law in motion with health and happiness and wholeness and abundance and joy and peace and plenty, and then experience that. And it is not to be pressured. It is just to take a breath and think a new thought. Make a new choice, set a new intention, let it go. The farmer does not go back and dig up the seed and wait for it to come to harvest. And stick with it until you get the harvest. Don't abandon it. Well, I tried an affirmation once. Don't abandon it. Stay there until you get your harvest, till it shows up in your hand. Ernest says you're supposed to treat until you can hold it in your hand. He said this is not, I forget what his words were, they were too long. This is not airy-fairy, this is not smoke and mirrors. When you create something, you can hold it in your hand, it's real. So stay with it until you've got it and watch it show up. And it doesn't matter how far-fetched it may have seemed in the past. In the mind of God, everything is possible because everything already is. Does that make sense? Now he says something in this upcoming reading this week that I want to talk about. He says we never create, we discover and use. And when we were Center for Creative Living, that was always tricky. What does he mean by that? We never create, we discover and use. It already is. It already exists. It already exists. So our job is in the world of infinite possibilities to find, to discover what we want to have, to focus on that, and to manifest that, to use that packet of possibility, that pure potentiality, and to bring it into form. We don't have to make it happen. I've seen people get so tense. I've seen people feel so pressured. I've seen people try to micromanage every little detail of life. You don't have to do that. Have a little faith that whatever you plant, it's going to grow. You don't have bad soil. You have the best soil that there is. You don't have rocky soil. You've got great soil. If a seed just blows by and lands, it's going to grow. You don't even have to have the best planting. Well, I don't know if I did the right affirmation. You know, I'm not sure I had all those P's in there. I don't know if it was a real treatment. I don't know if that book was good enough that I read. All you have to do is have a thought blow by your head. You have such great soil. And that's also why it's important that you watch what blows by your head. So if you're not clear, don't watch the news at night before you go to bed. Do your gratitude and forgiveness work. If you're not clear, don't talk to people whose intention is to bring you back to where they are instead of grow to where you are. Don't talk to them. If you leave something and you feel bad, don't do that again. It's like if you eat something and it makes you sick, don't eat it again. Pretty straightforward. Because the fertile soil of mind is so fertile and can literally grow anything that if you have a thought just blow by, it will take root. So it's important for you to monitor your thoughts, Listen to what you say, and a good friend will listen with you. Really? Is that really what you wanted to say? Is that really how you wanted to frame that? Is that really your story? Think about what you think about. Oh, I can't, it's just too complicated. No, it's not. What's complicated is going back into old patterns and manifesting the same experience over and over and over, and then having to deal with that. That's complicated. Think about what you're thinking about. Listen to what you say. Check out your feelings. Check out your state. You can choose what your emotional state is. Oh my God, it's gonna rain for another week. There's no place to go, you know, the creek's probably gonna rise up into the parking lot again. Then we're gonna have tens of thousands of dollars of repair work to do, and jeez. Or wow, the sun is shining and all is well. Or wow, you just got a call from a friend that you haven't talked to in years and they're doing great. They're gonna come see you. Oh wow, you just won this thing. Oh wow, your car doesn't need to be fixed. Oh wow, you just met that person. Wow. Your state is your choice. It's up to you, and whatever it is that you are feeling is casting seeds. So your thought casts seeds, your feelings cast seeds, your actions cast seeds. And those are a little bit easier to see. You know, you're signing that contract, there's going to be an effect of that cause. You take that job, something's going to happen. You marry that person, something's going to happen. It's easier to see when you've got actual actions that things are going to happen. But it is your thoughts that are equally creative. It is your feelings that are equally creative. For that matter, your thoughts and your feelings put you in the position that you're taking action. First is the thought. First is something before the thought. I know that. I don't know what it is. First is the thought. Your thought dictates your feelings. Rational emotive therapy. Go back into the 70s with me. You think a thought before you feel a feeling, period, end of story. Nobody ever just feels a feeling. You always make a decision to feel that feeling. So if you're making a decision anyway, you might as well make a decision to feel a good feeling. A thought and a feeling, and then is the action. So be mindful of all three of those because they are moving you forward in life. Go where you want to go. You get to go wherever you want to go. It's like getting ready to go on to 40 and going, well, I don't know. Should I go east or should I go west? I don't know. I don't know what to do. Honk, honk, honk. Go somewhere. Think about where you want to go. Do you want to be in a relationship? Do you want to have a creative life? Do you want to have a building life? Do you want to have a lot of money? Do you want to have enough money that you're just fine and you don't want to have to worry about anything? All of those things are great. They are great. Think about where you want to go, set your intention, and then think it, feel it, and do something about it. The phrase is treat and move your feet. And people say, well, if this works, why can't I just do a treatment and not do anything? And I say you can. If you are that clear. I am not that clear. I am almost 35 years into this and I am not that clear. But if you are that clear that you can just sit back on your couch and have everything delivered to your home, that's great. Go for it. Otherwise, get off your butt and do something in your life. Do something. Think a thought. Feel a feeling. Take an action. Move forward. Have something happen. Move the energy. And what you're doing is you're scattering seeds in the amazing fertile soil of mind, which will sprout everything. And if you scatter seeds that you don't like, what do you get to do? Change it. You get to weed. You get to weed. And how do you weed? With your forgiveness work, with your gratitude, with your refocusing. Did you have your hand up, Quan? Michaela. Okay. So you get to weed your garden, and you get to decide what seeds you want to plant, and then you get to plant them because you are constantly growing. It is the nature of life itself to grow. Have you ever seen a field that was gotten ready for planting and something happened, maybe it rained, and so they couldn't plant it till the soil dried out, and it was a couple of weeks? What happened? Volunteers, whoever said that. Yes, it grew all kinds of things. It grew things that the person who put all of that work into it didn't really intend to grow, but because they pulled their energy back, it went back to its original state, not its pure, perfect, and complete spirit original state. It's pretty neurotic original state, and it grew up in weeds. So there is not time off. There is not, I'm just going to think these thoughts for a little while, because they're going to grow. There is not, well, I'm just going to take the holidays off because I have to be with my family, and so I'm just going to be crazy. Don't be crazy. Be sane. Bring in the light. Or don't go. If you're going to go and be crazy, you may just not want to go. Think about it. What are you doing to set this amazing power of the universe in motion? And if you're doing it on the level of the relative in a limited thought, then it is your job to go back to this perfect idea. Everything is perfect, everything is whole, everything is complete, everything is fine. Everything is fine. What is this race consciousness that things are not fine? And I know it's been perpetrated on people through the guise of religion just to try to have mass control over people. Things are fine. You have no original sin. There is no such thing as sin. There is no evil. There is no devil. There is no hell. There is only perfect spirit as you right now. You are a being of light. You are a being of love. You are a being of joy. That is the only truth about you. That is the divine perfect idea. Whatever spirit is, spirit showed up as you. Spirit is not limited. Spirit is not broken. Spirit never did anything wrong. Erase the blackboard. Start fresh. Take a breath. Put on your God eyes and start off looking in the mirror at that God being that you are, and watch how everybody in your world changes. Jade.
Well, I would love to go to Providence, Rhode Island in November for a couple of days. And I have trouble, it's very, very expensive, like $8,000.
To go to Providence? You need a new travel agent.
I would say so.
That's what the travel agent said.
Oh, that's wrong.
You need a new one.
Yeah. Well,
Second thought, second travel agent.
oh, really? Oh, yeah, but I just, so I would like to know, I'm having trouble deciding, you know, how I want to get there and whether I could drive.
There you go. You can drive.
Buy the gas, I'll drive you there.
You've got a new car, Jane.
I know.
You've got a new car. You want to go to Providence? Get in the car and go.
Oh, that's, yeah.
You've got money. I know you.
Well,
Road trip.
I think you've got people going to Providence with you, Jane. I think you've got people going to Providence, Rhode Island with you in November. There you go. See? All you have to do is go to what if? What if it's not $8,000? What if there's another way? What if this could be easy
and fun.
and fun? There you go. Yes.
So,
Sherry.
I am so boggled by the big, the big circle and the little circle.
That's because you haven't gotten to the little circle yet.
I think that what I want to know is this big circle, is the idea that it's the basic rule, so we're learning this big, basic, broad concept, and then we will then apply it to the smaller
Yes,
concepts.
exactly,
So,
exactly.
okay, because I was doing either that, or this is the whole world, and it's on a bigger level, like.
Well, that's true, too.
Everybody's all thinking.
That's true too, but I think that's the third circle.
Okay, all right.
We'll take it one circle at a time. And this can get a little mind-boggling, but what it does is it starts to make sense of the lingo of the concepts. It gives you some sense of why is it Barbara says, you know, all you have to do is think a thought. You can reach your hand out in thin air and grab money and have your bills paid and have all these wonderful things happen. There are laws in effect. There is something going on that is spiritual law. Stop it. There's something going on that is spiritual law. And you can use that, and we use this circle as an example of a way to
How it
just
works.
try to put it into our thought. There's also another circle. And this is another one. It says you, spirit, law, body. This was the one Ernest used later on because it's a flat model, and yet this is a universal circle, this is an individual circle, it is the absolute, it is the relative. I find it easier to just kind of split it all up into little bits of information that is easier to understand. But this is life, this is the creative process. This is when you say, why are we here? This is why we are here. Because whatever spirit is, had some kind of a divine thought to create more life. And so universal law took that and it showed up in form. And according to the multiverse theory, then it's not only one universe, but there are infinite universes. So infinite time and space, infinite life forms, infinite experiences showing up in this lower level. But whatever that is, you know, Sherry, that you are not your physical body. That there is more to you. So what is that more? That more is up here. You are a spiritual being with a physical body. You are a spiritual being with a physical life. You are a spiritual being with a job. The job is not who you are. Your money is not who you are. Your past is not who you are. Why? Because those experiences are down here. And this comes out of this through this. Thank you. Anything else? Really? I'm going to have something harder than a piece of paper next time. Take out what you're going to give. You are perfect. We're all perfect, whole, and complete. Really. And what I know is that all is well. That this perfect idea in the mind of God of Center for Spiritual Living Asheville and each one of us is whole and complete right here and right now. We have more than enough to do whatever it is we choose to do. We are deeply, deeply blessed in every area of our lives. Nothing broken, nothing missing. We are whole. We are complete. Right here and right now, we are beings of love and light. And I know that the embracing of that plants the seed in the fertile soil of mind, and the only thing that can happen is the growth, the manifestation, and the demonstration of that seed, that thought, that perfect idea as us. And so I know that we are blessed. I know that whatever we do is a blessing in form because we are spirit made manifest as us now. And I know that as we give this gift, that amazing idea of God in form goes with it. Touches the center, blesses the bank wherever it goes. It is an ongoing blessing of love and light, of the knowingness of spirit as all. So I know that as we give this gift, we are richly blessed in return. Each one of us comes together this night to make this Center for Spiritual Living Asheville all that it was ever meant to be. It is a place of peace, a beacon of light, a tower of strength, and a fountain of wisdom that touches the lives of all who call it home. And so it is. So hold the energy, breathe it in, breathe it in, hold the energy, breathe it in. You are setting spiritual law in motion right here, right now. You are planting that seed. Claim your harvest. That whatever it is returned to you multiplied abundantly. Claim your harvest. You deserve to be rich. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to be loved. You deserve to be healthy. You deserve to be whole. For that matter, you are rich. You are happy. You are healthy. You are whole. Right here and right now, as we set this law in motion, the only thing that it can do is take what we give it, multiply it, and give it back. So right here and right now, I know that everything in these baskets is blessed. That as we give, that light and love that we are pours forth into this room with our gift, filling it up from the floor to the ceiling and all between the walls. This air is rich and blessed with God as us. This ground is holy ground. And I know that that energy touches and blesses and heals each and every one of us. And then it shoots on out to raise the consciousness of every being on this planet into an awareness of life with more than enough, with love and health and joy and wholeness of every kind. Always here, always now, touching every one of us here tonight, everyone who has ever been here, and everyone yet to come. And so it is.
Hi, welcome back. Thank you for joining us for this class tonight, and or whenever it is that you're watching it. Thank you for letting Barbara's words just soak into your consciousness and create a wonderful sense of joy and possibility. So have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful day, whatever time of day you're listening to this. I seem to be caught on it being evening. And we'll see you next time. All right. Thank you.